Ladies, I want to ask you about first of all the Gaza Ministry of Health, the information we're getting from them, and what really appears to be some reliance on them for information I'm not so sure is correct. I want to just go through a few things because over a number of years, through several conflicts, numerous bloody skirmishes between Israel and Hamas, UN agencies, as you know, and others have cited the Gaza Health Ministry's death tolls in regular reports. The International Committee of the Red Cross and the Palestinian Red Crescent also use these numbers or rely on these numbers, as does the United Nations. Several news publications cite numbers from Hamas for their data, but frankly, I'm a little skeptical about the data that's coming out. Both President Biden and the National Security Council spokesman John Kirby have been publicly skeptical of the Gaza Health Ministry's numbers and called them, quote, unreliable due to its control by Hamas. And I agree with that. Tell me a little bit about the types of propaganda. I'll start with Assistant Secretary Leaf, that Hamas or other Iranian-backed proxies are spreading using either the Ministry of Health or other organizations located in Palestine.
So I would just say, Congressman, that Hamas is very adroit at using social media in particular to circulate its propaganda, to circulate disinformation, misinformation. On the question you cite about statistics, I would just say that in this period of conflict and conditions of war, it is very difficult for any of us to assess what the rate of casualties are. We think they're very high, frankly, and it could be that they're even higher than are being cited. We'll know only after the guns fall silent. So we take in sourcing from a variety of folks who are on the ground, and so I can't stipulate to one figure or another, but I think it's very possible that they're even higher than is being reported.
I appreciate that answer because that kind of goes to my next question. I was going to ask specifically about the number 10,000. That's the number that, as of November the 6th, is being reported as the number of Palestinians in Gaza who have been killed. And my question to you was going to be, do we think that number is higher? Do we think it's lower? Do we have any visibility? Do we have any reliable information that would give us some indication one way or the other on that number?
I mean, as I say, we have a lot of different sources from people that we know that are on the ground, that are NGOs and others who are operating there, UNRWA and so forth. And I think we'll only have a faithful figure at the end, tragically. But I would just say, when as a point of comparison, Gaza Strip is about 25 miles in length and 7 to 12 miles in width, and you've got 2.2 million or thereabouts people compressed into a piece of land that is, well, it's comparable to Rhode Island, I guess, but I think Rhode Island is actually a bit larger and is half the population. So in these extraordinarily dense confines, it just stands to reason that there are very high casualties.
In my last minute, I want to switch gears and ask both of you about Iran's participation. Early on in the assault, it appeared that there were advanced missiles and drones targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure used by Hamas. Information that's come to me indicates that it would be Iran that really has provided that to them, either as a proxy or directly. And so what is it that we need to be doing to push back against Iran's participation in Hamas's terrorist attacks that started October the 7th and continue to today?
So the question of a direct Iranian involvement in that operation is still a question that analysts are looking at very closely. I heard a variety of opinions from intelligence services when I was out in the region, with some officials saying that they found that even the political elements of Hamas were clearly in a state of surprise on October 7th, that this was a very siloed operation, and that other elements of the so-called Axis were in the dark. All that said, it's fair to say that Iran set the table for this in the years of support it gave to training and lethal aid and finances to Hamas and to other elements of the proxies. We need to strangle the financing. The weaponry, a lot of that has apparently been manufactured on site in Gaza, underground. So there's been an enormous amount of smuggling. We're very dedicated to the proposition of helping Egypt do what's necessary to really tighten its border controls and its screening.
Thank you, Assistant Secretary Leaf. Assistant Secretary Struhl, you got left out. I'm so sorry about that, but ma'am, I appreciate both of your time today. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.